Hey guys, Bubba here. We've got a pretty special video for you. So as we all know, Halo Infinite's had a rough life with the lack of many things. Over the period of all the dryness though, we've managed to squeeze out some juicy content and are still trying to find new fun on the game. It's been almost 9 months since our last Oddball video though, and after this long wait, we're finally ready to give birth to a new trick. To start things off, I'm going to briefly teach you the basics at the Academy. So, here's how a player interacts with props, or a box in this case. Nothing unusual here, I just push it around just as you would expect. However, if I land on it or become grounded on it and then try to push it, you'll notice that it becomes immovable for me. Let's refer to this condition as heavy. When an object is heavy, it interacts differently with you. Normally, if I were to launch a box up and have it fall on me, there wouldn't be much of any effect besides the box simply flipping off of me. If the box is heavy to me though, something else happens. I don't push the box, but the box pushes me. In fact, I don't have any effect on the box anymore. My collision no longer has a physical influence on the object. This means that if the box wants to occupy a spot that I'm already in, it doesn't care. It's gonna move into it and shove me out the way, and it doesn't hold back. I can have it launch me in this heavy state, but make note that the object will return to its normal state upon sprinting, clambering, grappling to something, thrusting, or dying. Note that you can't heavify another object if one is already heavy. Only the first prop you land on will be heavy until you reset the state. We call this trick a prop squeeze. If this seems familiar in some way, it might be because the coil tricks in campaign work the same way. So this actually has been around for a long time, but no one has seemed to discover the inner workings of this and apply it to the global scale. Speaking of expanding, what can we find on a multiplayer map like Livefire? Let's look around. Are there any boxes we could use? Well, any box I can move? That I can actually stand on too? I guess there aren't any good boxes. But what about the Oddball?
Objective is, prop squeeze.
Well, let's see. If we're gonna attempt a prop squeeze, we have to first meet the grounded condition that's checked. So let's go ahead and land on it. It's okay if it slips away. Just as long as the game registered that I was able to walk on it, then it should be heavy now. It seems like it is, so now let's try it. I'll toss it up and get right underneath it, and yeah, we can do the trick with it. There's several ways of launching with it actually. We have the jump and drop method, drop and punch method, you have to shift your reticle precisely to hit the ball. The angled drop method, you don't have to crouch but it always helps. The nade repel method. Roll off method, make sure the ball is heavy when doing these. The grapple pull, just melee or switch weapons to cancel grapple. And the drop and shoot method if you're trying to be extra. All of these are ways to do a prop squeeze with an oddball, which we just call a ball bump. If successfully pulled off in a game, this trick can be extremely effective at getting someone out of hostile situations. Keep in mind that grabbing the ball while doing this requires almost frame-perfect precision, and doing that in multiplayer on infinite servers will make it tremendously difficult, but not impossible. If you have a teammate with you, which, it seems I do, you can use one of these methods with them. The pat and push, the slam dunk method, kick method, skewer shot method, or the punch-up method. Practical or not, it's a cool trick and might come in handy to know, but it's definitely fun to try out. How about some consistent ways to ball bump? Well, it's hard to find ones that you'll be able to do every time, guaranteed, but here's one I found that eliminates some randomness. If you ever find yourself in a situation where the ball is at the bottom of this staircase, you can stand in the corner formed by the red valve and the wall, look straight up, and let your reticle sit between the corner of the dark rectangle and the light part of the pipe. Then, just jump and drop the ball right after your feet leave the floor, making sure to be on top of the valve to catch the ball. Even with this consistent approach, you can see how difficult it is to also pick up the ball when launching. Just another reminder that this trick is immensely precise to do online. You can also find consistency over by these barrels for a solo ball bump. To do it, corner yourself between this barrel and the invisible wall on the right, look straight up, and try not to turn left or right. If you're aligned good enough with the overhang above, then just jump and drop the ball quickly after, land on the barrels, and catch the ball. It's not guaranteed, but if done perfectly, you'll ricochet up high enough to get to the overhang. Perhaps not so consistent, but these ones are also nice to try out. Hitting a ball bump here with considerable speed can actually send you upward. That's because when you get shot outward, you deflect off the short bump on the floor, and even though it's a very small ramp, it has a powerful effect on your trajectory when hit with so much speed. Similarly, you can do another ball bump in the long haul here that sends you quite a distance. Just as the previous one, this one also relies on a small bump. It's amazing how something so tiny can have such a drastic effect. Doing ball bumps with a teammate can be better in a lot of situations, but you'll need to both be coordinating and ready for attempts. Check out these examples.
Ball dropped. Ball dropped. Ball dropped. Ball dropped. We have the ball. Ball dropped. We have the ball.
We'll wrap up the ball bump soon, but let's check out a few more examples in streets. I wanted to showcase this one in Police Station to highlight how you can throw the ball up higher in some areas. If you watch closely, you can see how I specifically position myself and reticle. You won't always be given free handouts with this trick. Doing this is a pretty fancy and convenient way to rotate past the drop wall. While we're in this area of the map, let's look at this tough one that carefully avoids some grooves in the ceiling. And what a rotation that would be. Here's the same rotation done with the help of my friend xDiversity. Notice how different the setup can be, and be aware that him and I are like professionals with this stuff, so we make this look much easier than it actually is. If you're somehow alone with the ball in Subway and need to zoom out of there, imagine pulling this off to do that.
Ball dropped.
All the way from one side of the map to the other. Just like before, here's a buddy alternative to the same rotation. The benefit of doing it like this is that you can shoot someone out like a rocket, 2 rockets, while keeping ball possession in the Subway. Not liking that option? Well, how about doing it like this to get all the way to arcade in the blink of an eye? There are some serious possibilities with this trick. And how can I pass on finding another way up to the Bubba Burger by myself? I did it with 2 grenades in Dreamland, but how about just 1 ball bump here instead? It's becoming a tradition that I show off at least some way up here in every video I'm on streets. If you feel like you've seen this sort of launch somewhere, it might be because I actually tease this in the animal jumping video of mine. In that video, I had to teach a rat how to do a jump so that it could fall on me and bump me up, just like the ball. It was a ridiculous clip, but I had a lot of fun actually taming the animals. Okay, now for something I know you're not expecting. So I had some theories, alright? And to test these theories, I had to spawn some clones of myself to experiment on. I wanted to check how the heavy state behaves with them, but this one seemed permanently heavy to me. Let's try something anyway. Can a clone make the oddball heavy to it? Yes, it looks like it can. So you can do ball bumps on bots, that's cool, but what if we took it a step further? What if I took the role of the oddball? As in, what happens if a clone lands on me? Let's try to pop this clone up and get under it. Oh, well, it crashed my game. Time to give it another try. Another crash. And it clearly looked like the bot landing on me was the cause. I won't stop there though. I'll give it another go. Oh, I guess I won't. Yeah, any sort of change in elevation for a clone has a good chance to crash the game. At least in an online server. Trying these offline is a lot better. One thing is that clones aren't perma-heavy. You can actually toggle their heavy state. How about ball bumps? Do they still work on them? Yep. Sweet, let's try to have it land on me again then.
Ball dropped.
There it is, just like I thought. You can be prop squeezed by a clone. And you don't even need to use the oddball. A ball bump's not even required for this. It's basically just a clone bump. In the first idea I try with this trick, just watch. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Oh, wait, that's exactly what I did. First I trained the rat to help launch me. Now I'm training my own clone. Oh, man. But what more can we do? How about instead of making the clone heavy, it makes me heavy? To test this, I just need to have it land on me while it's not heavy for me. What the heck happened there? We don't collide with each other anymore. This is weird. Oh, wait! I sprinted and it's back to normal. Is that what it's like when I heavify it? Let's go back and watch that again, slowly. So either just before or just after I punched it off my head, the clone was registered as being grounded on me, thus making me heavy to it. When I jumped, I easily picked the clone up with me and merged through it slightly before occupying the corner and shooting it out of there. It's at this moment that I think the game registered that I was grounded on the clone, making the clone heavy for me. In short, I became heavy for the bot just before it became heavy for me. Anyway, if I actually am considered heavy for the clone, I should be able to prop squeeze it. This right here, everybody, this is the reason I think player-on-player collision doesn't exist in Infinite. It's because if it were a thing, players could easily make themselves heavy like this and pressure launch someone. They wouldn't even have to be doing it on purpose either. They can be doing it on accident and just push each other around all over the place. Either that or because the game will crash if done in an online server. You don't even have to fall on them to launch them though. Moving into them sideways will do the trick just fine. Going forwards into them is a little easier though. Just take a look at this bot almost landing in the A tower. It came just shy of landing in there, but watch this. I managed to launch the bot all the way from bottom A to the subway balcony. And as if that's not crazy enough, here's probably the only time anyone has ever been killed by their own clone. I guess I got a little too carried away with myself. Let's get away from the clones and go somewhere peaceful. Let's go to Catalyst. We might be all done with ball bumps, but what about fusion coils? Well, I'm sure you can predict what we're going to be doing here. Yup, coil bumps. Now if you're going to be trying any of these, you're going to want to be careful, because, yeah. We don't have to go over many to make a point, so I'll just leave you with this last one. Coil bumps aren't the only thing you can do with coils. There's another trick that was found by Skulk almost 1 week after Infinite released, called the coil squash. While this used to be pretty clean and straightforward, it's not quite so anymore, at least not with how Infinite servers have been. A few months ago you were able to do this trick as you just saw in Skulk's video, but now it's rough, to put it nicely. You can still do it online, but you may as well not even bother. I mean, look how this is client side versus server side. It is annoying to deal with this each and every time you attempt it. But hey, when it works great. What doesn't work so great though is the servers and theater. Heck, even theater shows different events if you just replay the same moment in a film. And that's what we have to rely on to see what the server sees. This game really gets to me sometimes. On a better note, at least you can enjoy doing a coil squash or coil pinch in an offline game. I also want to shout out Bad Jumpers for showing off this trick in their Jumptage Panama. If you haven't watched that yet, you should definitely do that. It's a really cool video. I'll provide links in the description for the videos mentioned. Back to the coil squash now. If you don't want to be limited to doing these offline or just don't want to give yourself a headache with the servers, you can actually do this online with a buddy. Thanks to the game not having player-on-player collision with teammates, you can merge partly into someone and drop a coil like so to launch them. I think it's about time we move on from Arena. Let's see what more there is to have fun with. Starting off on Fragmentation, we'll see we're supplied with even more fusion coils. Don't worry, I'll go over this briefly. So just one more way you can launch with a coil is with the same way you can launch with an oddball. It's even more precise though, and If you try it on one that's already been damaged, you'll probably get an unfavorable outcome. Instead of using the jump and drop method, you could do a slight variation of the angled drop, where you just look straight up and drop it while standing, then crouch walk underneath it. Now, what other objects do we have here? Yep, it's vehicle time. Before we dive in deeper, let's do a quick recap of what resets the heavy state. There's sprinting, clambering, grappling towards something, or thrusting. Okay, so if we're gonna do a prop squeeze with this, we should probably get underneath it. And just like that, we have a hog bump. It's a little bit more extreme, but you can also do it with a repulsor. It might not be the go-to method, but just like that coil squash, when it works great. And when it doesn't work, well, that usually happens. It's also possible to launch with a mongoose, but it's hard to get good ones with it. Back to the hogs, if you manage to flip one in specific spots, you could get launched by it as it squeezes you against geometry. One more way to launch with a hog is by setting it up like a basic trap. Then just fall for your own trap and punch it. Now for some fun. If you're in this area with a hog and want to sneakily get behind the enemy's base, you can try a launch like this. Here's another one from the same initial spot, only this time, I end up all the way by the corner of the map. You can see just how much different one attempt can be from another, just as we'll see here. The Razorback works just as good as the Warthog, by the way. Now here's a hog bump by this cliff. Notice how much height I get. If you couldn't already connect it, you can deflect off slopes and convert your horizontal momentum into vertical momentum. Alright, take a look at this insanity. Did you get all that? Here, have some more angles. This is one of the most incredible launches you'll ever see on Halo. The hog shoots me out like a cannon. I hit a cliff so hard I ricocheted off it, went through the tower like threading a needle, and landed right into Cliff's cavity like a fastball pitched to a catcher. That's wild. Hog wild. Whew, it's gonna be hard to top that, but let's go over just a couple more on these other maps. This one on Deadlock's a great example of a hog bump that converts horizontal momentum into vertical using a steep, rocky slope. I found something surprising that could actually help with certain launches. It seems that if a drop wall lands on a vehicle as it's coming down, it'll slam down faster, potentially shooting you out with more force. The last one I'm showing on Deadlock is a pretty weird one. It just goes to show you never know what you're gonna get.
What the freak, bro? What the freak? It's all wobbly. It's all wobbly.
Coming on to Breaker, here's a couple more examples of hog bumps. I can't stress the benefit of ramps enough, so hopefully these emphasize it sufficiently. And finally, we're on high power. You know what's coming up next. Seed bumps! Yep, that's right! These little guys can seriously pack a punch. And speaking of punching, you can even implement a melee to your attempts like this. It may not change much, but it will make the power seed come out slightly differently, which you might find helpful. And now imagine this. You're in a stockpile game and are in desperate need of stealing one of the enemy team's power seeds. You infiltrate their base and somehow pull this off for the win. I doubt that'll happen anytime soon, but what an astonishing play that would be. To finish this video, we have something really exciting here for you. For those who don't know, I've been secretly sharing this nerdy knowledge with the amazing Mint Blitz. I asked if he wanted to sneak the prop squeeze into his gameplay, and this is how it went.
Let's go. Let's go.
There's one guy called Bubba who did like Halo 5 movement tech, and he's been helping me like come up with ways to get it in matchmaking. So he's so happy to see I got it.
Yes, yes I am, Remy. So there it is, the prop squeeze and all of the bumps you can do with it. I hope you all enjoyed our video. We put a lot of care into showing these things clearly and thoroughly, and it's about time we unveil it after teasing it so many months ago. I know the fate of Halo has been worrisome at best lately, but we're trying to do what we can on the game to make ourselves and others happy. With that said, I hope you consider subscribing and definitely drop a sub for Mint Blitz.
Yes!
He's phenomenal.
Yes!
Someone else who's phenomenal is the person who edited this video, Bradick, formerly Lights. That guy does so much clean work and has a YouTube channel of his own, so make sure to show him some love too. Anyway, take care of yourselves, keep your chin up, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.